Hello and good evening to all the participants in our wonderful audience. We, Technology Literary Society, give you a warm welcome to the Farrago Spoken Poetry event. In the spirit of celebrating poetry, we might as well ask ourselves what really is poetry? The famous poet David Whyte once said, "Poetry is a break for freedom." But in the real world, are we really free to follow our hearts and be ourselves? Or do we let society mold us into people that we are not? Presenting to you a brilliant piece on this very theme, I call upon tonight's first performer, Kinjal Sen Sharma.
Once as a kid, an adult asked me what did I wanna be when I grow up. I said I want to travel through space, click pics with the moon and show off. Pat gave his reply, what a load of crap, you see those books, go bring me some. Nothing to do with your vision, but still, won't get this now, but later you will. If you want food on your table and a roof over your head, you have to play it safe till your aim's gone and you're entirely brainwashed. Become a part of the same mob, made up of train bots. I raised my bros and stayed at the adult, bringing an end to our conversation. Walked past the school building the other day, brought back some memories now at 4 a.m. Replaying those days in my head again. I sit weighing those choices and promises I made when I left the school gate and went to fall prey to a whole new world filled with cold humans and so brutal. Couldn't cope no more. Been living with gimmicks and personas that I hate to put up with the trends, trying hard not to look like I'm out of the place. World was like the one I read in the books. Live in the wild but you're raised in the woods. Guess books can be deceiving. Hard to differentiate with the beast and the crooks. A beast may have a devil deep in his roots. A man may commit sins and promises the change. Man turn to a sage and commit more sins. Embrace the truth or have it rubbed to your face. Either you're born with bugs in your genes or sell your soul to fix cracks where you live. Set out to fetch all those stuff on my list. Kept feeling, see all these cuts on my wrist. The door got tired of being shut on my face. Questioned myself every second, felt it and said nothing, kept running, nothing seemed to make sense. I'll let you pour your heart out to we'll take turns. You've gone through worse. That isn't helping my case friend. 8 months I spent locked in the basement. Packed my bags and I left the city. Now I lack the guts to go and face them. Wondering who's sending my statement. Too many to even name them. One of them's you though, even in hard times. You made those smart lies, promises you made were pseudo. You know every day comes with a new low. These days I feel disconnected from the system like Pluto. Somewhere in my heart I already forgave you. Reason behind angling, the rest are the same too. Starts as a fairy tale, then all hell breaks loose. Everything's a myth, everything gets stale soon. Ever seen a being stay the same after an year or two? So hard to get humans, I'd rather live in the page of a book.
Thank you for that wonderful piece, Kinjal. I'm sure we were all able to relate to that at some level. Now we present to you a poem by Anurag Ghosh and Yuti Patel, which talks about the conflicts between the head and the heart, between love and worldly ambition. So sit back and enjoy.
Night, watching the stars fade, fleeing their own fiery aura, we too did chance a glance. The brown eyes met the black, a rueful smile, a tiny nod. We trudged off, never looking back. No thoughts of homecoming, lest ambitions seemed unbecoming.
That night, the stars of our love caved in under the gravity of our own aspirations, as the flamboyant nebula of our love left us with a pernicious black hole of disappointment. Our eyes met, and with that tiny nod, I knew. I knew nothing between us could ever be revived. The time had come for us to depart. My heart ached. My heart ached as our passions tore us apart.
The clouds promptly took note, barging in the gap, stifling it, till the moon melted, as did my soul days. In the sonorous clanging 'twas as if this neared of discord, of disharmony, and of love long lost, much like I myself do. Why? Why never a thought of comfort, of cheer or succor? Just prodding, hinting, and taunting?
The ominous dark clouds resided in the trench between me and the world, siphoning the sunlight out of my life. The desolation of love, long lost, drizzled through my eyes. Words of commiseration had forsaken me. The jeers of being a woman who chose ambition over love loomed over my ears.
Last night, I saw the stars again, hurtling through the darkness, inexorable in their approach, singing of wonders and pangs. I hold in my heart too. The trophy glints in the pale sun, the metal icy in my hands as I wonder, what will you think of your man when he's achieved all he ever can?
As the notification of your arrival popped up, the neural network of my brain snapped. For the first time in years, I came out of the realm of computation. And, unbeknownst to me, the moist eyes looking at the vibrant aurora contemplated your arrival. As I glanced out of my balcony in Bangalore, I wondered, would we still chat and giggle like old days?
Or will it just be a bunch of hellos and okays? The summer breeze seems to quiver.
The droplets on the window have a pristine shimmer,
The tranquility that your departure had lent.
seemed to melt with your advent.
The bell tinkles. You approach the door.
I returned to that night. What was it all for?
Thinking of that night, the pain we endured.
I opened the door. Momentarily, the pain got cured.
The brown eyes met the black. Another tiny nod. How sweet tastes success when love is in concord.
Thank you for that truly lovely performance. Now, in these COVID times when we're all confined to our homes and we're missing our college, our friends, and even the mere touch of nature, I present to you our next speaker, Harshita Hariharan, who will speak on this very theme.
It is a bit strange that the sky seems more vast. Indeed, quite an unexpected change. Life is not as fast. I long to have my eyes itch under the sunlight or witness another breathing soul in sight. Wish for a fantasy to keep the doors ajar. Desperately reach out into the unknown far, sensing 1,000 stories unheard. Can I rescue my forgotten world? Day crawls by with each indistinguishable evening. Night creeps in without any fulfilled meaning. Indifferent to the living and the dead, a guiltless sentiment with all but dread. A ghost that loves lurking in the shadows, beneath an angel who dares not expose, striving to guard our natural identities while fearing to abandon one's insecurities. Not any rules, governed by four walls. A curse on humanity befalls. It is you who pushed me into this plight, and you have to set things right. And yet, why didn't I notice you before? Now every square inch of you I adore. The neem leaves seem greener, the hibiscus blooms to be bigger, the coconut tree is definitely leaner, the heavens pour down with more rigor, the winds embrace me tighter. But the heart sure could have been lighter. A disease to realize my disability. Fair is it, this merciless cruelty? As time moves forward, more than kith and kin, bless me with your conscience within.
Thank you, Harshita, for that lovely piece. Now, I call upon Kshitija, whose poem talks about a window, which serves as a bridge between her soul and the rest of the world. Please welcome Kshitija.
A pitch black night, with winds blowing across the vast western sea, relishing their freeness. The world had gone silent, drunk on its own elixir, peeping into its own soul. The night slumbered on, cuddled in peace. But there was one window wide awake to soak in the beauty of that peace, that opened out to capture the calmness of the world, the magnificence of life, and the two eyes behind it, striving to occupy the immensity of this cosmic world day by day. The window let them hold on to their dreams tight and take a leap of faith to go ahead and fulfill them. It birthed hopes in the womb of night for those eyes which had only been accustomed to restlessness and hopelessness till then. And a new life was born from the ashes of night, like a phoenix on the verge of light every day. A new thought, a new dream, born by the windowsill and emboldened by the lessons it taught. Slowly and steadily, the window nourished my dreams. But a sudden uncertainty had crushed many lives and had confined many dreams. I was seeing those dreams, waiting for their fulfillment with a new hope for betterment every day. And the homes and the hearts, which had once nourished the lives within, were now grilled with fear and disquiet. The barriers towered higher and higher with each passing stage, trying to conquer the spirits, to compete with their capability of being firm. But yes, many a times the barriers failed. The steadfast minds stood taller than the barrier. The window used to pat my back every day and offer me power, so that it can show me the beano of destructions and I won't collapse. But yes, it prompted me to think for myself and make my way through the chaos whilst keeping my calm. Life beyond the window, the creatures of nature, were just as famished as my mind, were just as desperate as my heart. I could see the animals, the birds, the winds, the water, the earth and the sky asking me the reason of this happening, their suffering. I could see them running towards me desperately, making me feel baffled and destroyed in confusion. But yes, in them, unwilling to surrender to the perils of the world, in their undefeated resolve, I found my strength, my inspiration. And now I can see a new me in the mirror of the window, and the grief of my soul melting away if I stare out of it. Yes, I can see the world of self-created barriers if I keep it closed. But a vast, devastated world of dreams combining its whole strength to try rising up if I open it. From a timid young self to a zealous and determined person, I watched and experienced myself grow. I learned to overcome the barriers, external or internal, instead of running away from them and hiding myself in a corner. And my dreams flourished, my thoughts flourished on the freshly plowed fields of my mind. As the dusk falls, the window, the bridge between me and the world in the day, connects me to my soul. And the whole night is the splendidly woven tale of our connection. As I learn, unlearn, and relearn, and how with every new day I awake with a new lesson, with a new drive to make the world mine. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful piece, Kshitija. Now, our next performer is Anjali Benual, whose poem talks about a feeling that we all must have experienced at some point. It's when you admire someone from a distance, but the butterflies in your stomach simply don't let you muster the courage to approach that person. a crush, infatuation, however you would want to put it. Please welcome Anjali Benewal.
Resembles poetry. There is a distance that's mandatory. Every night when the world is fast asleep, I'm up all alone. I'm up all alone, judging the day's activities like a fastidious critique. My mind buzzes with every random thought in the universe. Sometimes, these thoughts reach a standstill. Pleasure and pain cross boundaries at will. I become more aware of the silence. My thoughts do not have inertia at night, and all my fears unite until I fall asleep out of my sorrows. My days begin with the same routine. I see glitched faces in my worn out machine, unfamiliar faces. These unfamiliar faces are dozen a dime, each with a story of its own, mine included in them. It feels like it feels like a repeating cycle of my loneliness in the virtual crowd. No day leaves any traces, no memories, no newness. Amidst all this, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, I hear you, I hear you for the first time. Your voice filtered in a clutter of other sounds. I see you for the first time. Oh, my sweet darling, what about a distant love this time? I was waiting for someone. I was waiting for someone to put an end to my loneliness. I found myself smiling more often ever since I had this crush. Now it's a relief to be behind the screen. After turning off the camera, my secrets are unseen. I I I don't have the courage. I don't have the courage to talk to you face to face. I don't have the courage to talk to you face to face, but my darling, we'll be together in a different space. There, I do silly dance moves just to get a giggle or two from you. There, we will travel miles and I will soak in your smiles. Meet me. Meet me in my dreams every night at 9. Oh, my sweet darling, what about a distant love this time? Looking out of the window at sky afar, many a time I weave dreams about us. I have not missed any of your gestures. I ponder about what you portray of yourself and what you hide. My thoughts travel in random direction, but they too extinguish before reaching perfection. You, you seem like a treasure map to me. You, you seem so different from ordinary, so beautiful. The more I explore, the richer my feelings become. I dare not approach you. I dare not approach you. I dare not approach you for the fear of destroying this lovely spell, deliberately keeping a distance, but also wants to be a little closer, eager to talk, yet fearful at the same time. Oh, my sweet darling, we will meet in due time.
Indeed, a great performance. Now, I would like to call upon our next performer, Nishita Singh, who compares herself to a war torn city in this poignant poem. The stage is all yours, Nishita.
There once was a warrior. His stories of glory were passed on to generations. How his robe had gilded roses and how his armor shone under the sun. As he rode gallantly and laid cities to waste. The warrior retired, died an old man, on his feather bed that smelled of club pink, surrounded by those who loved him. And they wrote songs about him. Him, his children's silk dresses, and his consort's perfume, and how his castle stood tall, and how his walls were always warm. But what happened to the cities? Forgive me for the disproportionate comparison I'm about to draw, but the cities remind me of myself. Now, unlike cities, I didn't harbor gardens or shelter thousands, but I was turned to rubble. I suppose my wilted flowers and my run rivals couldn't make it into one of your songs. I can't say that you never came back to even take a look, because you did. You came, offered your condolences and your help, and threatened me when I rejected it. How classic. How classic of you to destroy me, then offer to rebuild me and call it charity. Wait, did I say destroy? No. I don't think that's quite the correct term. You see, destruction is rather chaotic, don't you think? A building collapses into itself and the building is destroyed. A toddler steps on half-dried paint and the painting is destroyed. Your ways, on the other hand, they were systematic. You made strategies, you took notes of my weak points, you isolated me and you killed my guards down. You see, I wasn't destroyed. I was dismantled. But word travels that you people adore you. Ballads of your niceties hurt my ear like no airplane ride ever could. The ballad riders didn't know the city's hated the warrior, did they? Does your mother know I hate you? Oh, I hate you. I hate you how a farmer hates chickweeds, and I hate you how a racehorse hates a whip, and I hate you how a pigeon hates a hurricane, and I hate you how an infant hates the arms of a stranger. The warm summers of your capital that your comrades sing of so fondly. Do they know how many cities had to burn to keep it that way? Do you know how many? And did you lose count? Look at me, documenting this like I'm unaware of the futility. The cities disappeared, didn't they? I will too. They were dismissed as side quests, and I will be dismissed as a side character. So, congratulations. You have another scar to show off.
Thank you for that eye opening piece, Nishita. Next, I would like to call upon Jayathi Srivastava, whose poem is a powerful celebration of all the wonders and mysteries of the world around us, which we often fail to notice. Please welcome Jayathi Srivastava.
The universe is full of mystic wonders. If you meticulously listen all day and all night long, it seems as if every inanimate entity breathes and surreptitiously sings a constant song. The trees rustle and sway and whisper of what they've manifested from where they stand. The grass converses in gentle murmurs as the wind saunters past the prairie's land. Look up above, at the gleaming sky, and at the birds that fly so free, traversing the membranous atmosphere, undulating and chirping intermittently. The ocean sings in subdued tones of all the vessels it indifferently led through, also of its atrocities that wrecked 100 ships and devoured by the layers of Byzantine blue. The rain brings nonchalance in its octaves. The thunder, calamitous roars on an inclement night. The far-flung interstellar entities sing of recluse and enervation that accompanies a voracious light. If the thunders and oceans frighten you, if the rustling and chirping don't get along, I'll hold your hand and take you home, and I'll sing you a little love song.
Thank you for that beautiful poem, Jayathi. Our next performance brings us to the subject of coding. As KGPians, some of us really love to code, while some really hate to code. But I don't think any of us has ever heard a poem on coding before, right? Please welcome our next performer, Homish Nimbarte, who shares his own relationship with coding in this extremely interesting poem.
Inertia of lethargy, slogging my mind, far away from the ongoing race, keeping me happy temporarily, causing big harm behind my face. Those sweet and junk temptations, taking away my attention, making me hollow. It's comfort calling my name. Hey, come on and grab this pillow. I ignore them and take a look at a sliver. I remember it. Yeah, I remember it. I open it. I see some ink. Something blue and doctorish. Some pills and syringes making the link. The excruciating feeling of anxiety fills up my chest like a balloon. Despair fills my room, maintaining the balance. Again, I go up, lie down, and face the night moon. I think again about those naked stars as no cover of clouds hides them from me. I try to distract myself from my thoughts, but it fails to take me out of the sea. Far away, I see a lighthouse, its torch flashing upon my eyes. I wake up and move the torch. My mom smiles and the time flies. I remember the siren and depressing cries. I was carried and rushed somewhere. Millions of needles stabbed my skin, brought out alive and breathing. But to where? After that, things never have been the same. I've wasted my time traveling back in time, trying to undo the event, undo the moment, undo the decisions, and make things fine. I dare again to call back those tears, for I cannot go back and undo the things. That night flashes right across my mind. I feel stabbed, and my mobile rings. I go back downstairs, as she doesn't trust. Neither do I myself, nor will she ever. I feel the gloominess growing all around as the silence continues seemingly forever. I take a chair, decorate my plate, and feed myself. Those stares hurt. It was better being under the stars. She takes the spoon, trembling as she does. Now my heart burns more than my scars. I try to forget everything I've felt and just bring some smile, at least for them. I ignore the syringe making its way into my arm. I feel something inside, healing my pain. The head feels lighter, more than ever. I feel better, but not yet sound. She applies the cream upon the souvenir. I feel it burning and killing my wound. Yet again, I throw myself upon the softest and most comfortable bed. It's hot, and yet I take cover for my legs and a pillow for my head.
Thank you for your performance, Homesh. And I'm really sorry for the logistical glitch. The piece was not about coding, but it was about a more serious topic and a topic which needs to have a lot of discourse surrounding it. It was about the topic of mental health issues in suicide. Nevertheless, It was a really great performance. Thank you, Homesh, for that performance. Next, I would like to call upon Malvika Khanduri, whose poem talks about the longing and desire for things that seem to be out of our reach. The stage is all yours.
I wonder what the view is like up there on the 21st floor. Sometimes I want to have a look for myself. Do you gaze at the same mountains, stare into the same skies? Do you curse the same eyesore of a building? Perhaps you curse mine. I haven't been enjoying sunsets the same ever since I've been this consumed by thoughts of what you see on my window glass. Is it pink from the flowers I keep, or green from the ivy in the distance? I'd spend money and time selecting the finest of lavender to display, ever since that one time I found you captivated by the lilac sky. Spend hours more arranging it to your liking. Somehow it never seemed to catch your eye. Seeing you relish the rain seated by your window ledge is not an easy task when I have to endure the incessant beating of raindrops on my glass pane. Occasionally obscured by thunder, yet somehow you always seem unfazed. I'm endlessly entertained by how meticulously you decorated your window. Made it seem like an easy sight from the outside in. But I've been watching closely enough to no longer be as convinced. Sometimes I see you slip and keep your nightlight on in the middle of a heavy midnight downpour. I know not what goes to your head then, but selfishly, I'm happy to see you the most humble you'll ever be witnessed. You must find me so pathetic. To never move my invasive gaze from the coarse daytime glare of your window that rarely ever lets me in. Yet I can never simply leave you alone. I'm running out of ways to convince myself that you'd even look twice upon my sorry state when you have better things to do and prettier things to see. Drunk on myself and once I forget, you've always been able to look past me. I've been fighting off the realization that even your disdain for me was something I made up to replace your indifference. My window being just as remarkable as the thousand others you see alongside mine. Somehow I thought it would hurt less.
Thank you for that lovely performance, Malvika. Now, in our lives, we often try to be brave and strong in the face of setbacks. But what happens when we finally cave and lose all faith in ourselves? I welcome our next performer, Shreya Gupta, who talks about the similar struggles of a young girl.
I'm not sure what acts as the final straw. I'm not sure what exactly triggers it this time. I'm not even sure how and why I ended up in that narrow corridor in the east wing of my office building. Crouched, back bent, body shivering, even though it's July afternoon. Mind occupied by my own voice, which warns me against causing a scene. However, there is this one thing I am certain about. I'm red, and as my brain registers that riveting revelation, I urge myself to take a deep breath. I'm not weak, I'm strong, I'm brave. So I let my face fall on my knees, and it is perhaps better off that way, hidden away from any onlookers ready to pounce on this particular opportunity to oust me from the pedestal I've projected myself to be on. I order, I plead, I beg myself to calm down as the lies I've used as steps to climb on this pedestal flash in my mind one by one. I'm not weak anymore. I'm strong now. I'm brave. And as each lie morphs into another one, a second, more powerful, more dominant voice joins in. Oh, really? You are brave? And strength? What strength? Honey, don't make me laugh. You can't even fight with your own self when you start behaving like some irrational, frantic beast. You say you're not weak anymore? The maid's stashed away in the second drawer of your bedside table, hidden behind all those self-help books. Beg to differ. No, please don't let my mother hear all that. It would break her heart if she... No, and then I hear it again. The voice. The voice, which now sounds suspiciously similar to my mother's voice. It is not jeering. No, it actually seems genuinely concerned about me. Then why does it hurt me more than the sneers of the previous voice? Why does each sentence which it utters sound like an icicle to my very soul? You're still taking meds? Goodness gracious, how many times do I have to tell you? It's all in your head. Why can't you be just normal? We have given you everything. What are you so anxious about? Now get up, 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 up. Just imagine what would people say if they saw you in this condition. What would people say if they saw me in this condition? Get up slowly, because that's what brave people do. What would people say if they saw me in this condition? You have no right to feel this way. Not when you're well off, not when you're more fortunate than a million others. Put up a brave front. What would people say if they saw me in this condition? I staggered, and with me, down goes my exaggerated grandeur. Oh look, there she goes, the brave one, tripping over her own 2 feet, unable to even stand properly by herself. No, I cannot let them witness my fall. I can't breathe. I'm gasping for air now. Breathe. I'm strong. Breathe. I'm brave. Breathe, goddammit, breathe. But I'm running out of breath. I'm running out of breath and I have no clue what's happening, and I don't want to be a disappointment to the select few who put up with me for God knows what, and I don't want to be called a liar, a weakling, or no. Why now? When I finally convinced everyone that I've recovered and I'm brave and just like that. That foreboding, that mind blurring, that nauseating, that paralyzing feeling seizes me, and just like that, blank. It's blank. And just like that, black. It's all black. I'm not sure when I finally get up. I'm not sure what motivates me to rush towards my car, but I curse every single thing which led to this. Me sitting in the front seat, shoulders hunched, in cold sweat, even though there's a soothing breeze blowing outside. Mind occupied by self-loathing. I glance at the rear view mirror, and the failure which shamelessly stares right back at me is enough to make me realize what I had probably known all along. I'm still weak. I've failed to be strong. I've failed to be brave. Thank you.
That was indeed a very impactful piece. Now, Haruki Murakami once said that death is not the opposite of life, but it's just another part of it. The memory of the deceased stay alive in the hearts of the living. I welcome our next performer, Tejas, whose piece talks about this very theme.
When I think about you these days, I think about the last time we had seen each other. You were sitting on the windowsill of my room. I was sitting on a chair beside you, like always. I remember your impassive eyes staring out. I remember the coils of exhaled smoke blurring your lips, your finger tapping the cigarette, the silent ashes flying in the air. The sky was a bright orange, and I remember what you said to me. People are of two types: those who die and those who keep living. There was something ominous in how your eyes met mine in that instant. I did not understand the statement then, and I doubt I do so even now. This is rare for us, you know that. Most of the things you say reach right through to my brain like water soaking into clothes. But that one statement, I doubt even you knew what it meant. 7 days later, I got to know of your death. There was a tiny story in the local newspaper about the slit to your wrist. The story mentioned your age, your school, your parents, and nothing else my brain could really register at that moment. I read it twice before tears forced their way to my eyes. A wound opened inside me. It's funny, I was sitting on this chair that morning. I looked at where you used to sit, and it didn't move. I could not. I did not attend your funeral. I did not meet your family or friends. You know, crying doesn't work for us. It's done, my brain said. We both knew it was coming, and now it's done. I sit by the window these days, staring out. I spend hours like this. It gets interesting, trust me. The old men and women still jog in the morning. What's the point in running when they're going to die in a year anyway? You used to say. There's so much we never talked about, the colors of the sky, for instance, or the shape of clouds, or the birds which fly by the window every evening. I hear distant traffic from here, and it sounds like ocean tides. These things bore you, I know. Perhaps I'm growing up. Of course, you'll always be young. It pains me to think that there will be a day when I would have outgrown you. Would I find you immature then? Would I find you childish? Who knows? Sometimes I see our old friends from here, clad in school uniform, bags bulging with books, feet grazing the road. They are fine. They smile, they laugh, they do everything teenagers are supposed to do. They remind me of what normal lives look like. When I look at them, my wound gapes wide like the window itself, and that's when I miss you the most. I'm almost able to see you. You're dead. You're dead and I'm living. But in moments like these, I think we somehow switch roles. Some days, I smoke your favorite brand of cigarettes. You always had them in your pocket, half lit, crumpled. I keep the cigarette between my lips for a few seconds before lighting it. I don't like its aftertaste, so the smoke comforts me. I like how it blurs everything. I like how tranquil it is. I like how it smells like you. Looking through the curtains of smoke, I'm certain I can see your shape sitting on the windowsill, just like old times. But eventually the smoke escapes through the window, becomes one with the air outside, and there is nothing for me to see anymore. Nothing but a yawning emptiness, and that's the scariest thing in the world. I think I understand your choices. Some things are bound to happen sooner or later. Perhaps that's why I did not feel shocked when I read that story in the newspaper. There was sadness, yes, terrible sadness. There was a wound, but not a hint of surprise, because I think I understand the nature of sorrow. Some people live with sorrow, it's woven into their skins, and those people, people like you and me, they are of two types: those who die and those who keep living.
Thank you for that soulful performance, Tejas. Now, moving on to a more light-hearted mood, I call upon our next performer, Piran Karkaria, whose poem talks about the small yet joyful things around us that we fail to notice in our busy lives. Please welcome Piran Karkaria.
I went for a walk the other day on a crowded street filled with people of all ages. Some hoping to get away from the mindless chatter in their homes for a while, some hurrying to get back in shape. Among the masked features and dispositions, I thought I saw a familiar face. He turned back and gave me a glance. Doubting my cognizance, I shied away. I tried to sneak glimpses of him, the auburn locks of his hair swaying in the wind, the dainty fingers occasionally brushing past them. I reminisced the now hidden dimple in his chin. On rambling further down the walking street, a whiff peppered my wistfulness. The stench threw me off stride. I spotted the poor animal, dead, avoided, swarmed by flies. I continued on my way like everybody else. I was afraid of getting noticed, you see, even amidst such an uncommon sight. All the way back, the poor dog kept flashing before my eyes. Or was it a goat? After all, it had a mask of its own. Every opening in its body flooded with vermin, as if to commemorate an unwanted life. I wondered how it was laid down, who had cast it aside. Was it the contrivance of the same brutes who now sauntered in foreground that led to its demise? The butcher had closed early that day, for he couldn't stand the reeking flesh. Oh, the irony. It mustn't have been a goat, I thought. Ruth engulfed my realization. One pays heed in exchange for a cruel expiration. The banter on the street grew louder with my guilt. Was it just a glance it deserved, this life that was left so uncherished?
Whoops, looks like we played the piece of Reva Rasane. However, thanks a lot for that performance, Reva. It was a really interesting piece about an experience that she had while walking down the street one day. Nevertheless, now we will move on to the piece performed by Piran Karkaria, and we hope you enjoy.
18 hours in a traffic jam. Boxed from all the six sides, I was stuck between mountains, fellow cars, the sky, and the earth. The demon of impatience was fidgeting inside me. Feelings of annoyance were surfacing, and as the time kept taking long strides, I was just trying to get used to the perpetual monotone of my surroundings. The traffic refused to move an inch, just like the unwavering leaves in the still air. The biosphere of the hills was stagnant, with an uncanny resemblance to my inert life. The home to so many lives seemed inanimate, the same way as my heart, full of feelings, felt hollow. My still and lifeless vicinity objectively reflected my own empty life. The inbuilt inertia to oppose changes weakened, and the unceasing dormancy of my surroundings sent pangs of sadness through my heart. I craved, I craved for a leaf to sway, a worm to wriggle, something to come to life. Then it came. It finally came. The wild wind whistling through the woods, blowing life into the hills, blowing life into the forest, blowing life into me. The rain came along, singing a melodious song, filling the eerie silence. I was awestruck, seeing life unfold right before my eyes. The dark clouds, the rattling leaves, and their captivating essence. I found myself absorbed in the patterns of raindrops, these pristine, transparent drops. They fell from the heavenly abode, melodiously giggling on their way down. I traced their journey one at a time, as they rolled from the top of a branch, down the mahogany stems, to the edge of a leaf, and finally into the arms of its beloved. The drop shattered itself into 100 pieces, dissolving itself into the brown sludge. The embrace of the earth and rain kindled a fire within me, which burned with a soothing fragrance. The wild scent of the damp, mushy surroundings intoxicated me, and the soul captivating aroma eased my heartache. Time lost its pace as I marveled at this unreal setting. A sudden honk brought me back to the real world. It had been 18 hours since I was lost. The traffic was gone and the road was cleared. As I steered my car further, the exquisite feeling had disappeared. Thank you.
Thank you for that performance, Piran. Now, I welcome our next performer, Urchishman Ghosh, who talks about his artistic musings late one night as he looks out of his window. Please welcome Urchishman Ghosh.
Musings of the 12th hour. There was something missing in the room. Something, something that made its absence feel uncanny, and he could feel the full force of it. He rolled out of his bed and took a good look around the room, hardly being able to make out much. Walking up softly to the glass window, he pulled apart the curtains. His first stare fell on the artistic constellations sparkling in the sky. He, a silhouette in the room, stood still. His eyes managed to cast their glance on some other lights below the horizon. The distant buildings of the city stood tall and proud as their lights blinked miles away. All through the night, hardly acknowledging the brilliance of the darkness. But there was something about those lights too that stood out radiantly. Tick tock, tick tock. The low ticking sound of the hands of the clock had almost camouflaged into the serenity of the atmosphere. However, as it completed a circle, a mellowed chime sounded and pierced through the eerie silence. A couple of diode lights, apparently notifying the activity of his laptop, blinked continually, almost, almost in sync with the ticking of the hands of the clock. It remarkably resembled a mechanized firefly. The soft moonlight provided a deep sense of relief to his inner self. A haunting feeling of pacific thoughts, calmness, and perpetual peace prevailed in the air around him. The infinite sky appeared to be the eternal backdrop of life itself. He was lost. He was lost amidst the night, awestruck at the pieces of illumination floating into his eyes from all directions. The boundlessness of the horizon amazed him. The sky housed extensive emptiness, yet was so reassuringly full of tranquility. He thought true treasures indeed lie where they are least likely to be found. What was that something in the hollow sky which made someone feel so immensely wholesome? The fascinating fusion of the darkness and luminance juxtaposed into an aesthetic combination, one that made him feel warm and comforted. It was an illustrious array of thoughts which crossed his mind now. On one hand, flashbacks haunted his soul, and on the other, the lustrous future beckoned. He suddenly realized what was missing in the room. To think it was under his nose, but he never recognized it before. The vastness of realization, the enormity of light. Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely piece, Urchishman. Now, I welcome to the stage Gargi Das, whose poem is a letter that she writes to her younger self back through time. As they say, in trying times, you have to be the source of your own strength. Please welcome Gargi Das.
This is an ode to my 17-year-old self who on most nights contemplated on bringing an end to things. I know you like to dream time and again, and so often you ponder about the future. And so I write this letter from the future. I know you cannot express. Your voice muffles your opinion. So you have learned to write in an attempt to spit out feelings you could no longer contain. I know there were days when it was hard enough to not close your eyes and nights when you struggled to close them. I know time is but a shackle. I know so many times the mellifluous cadence of the night, moon, and time will transform into a terrible monster that you will name you. I know you have met people. People too timid to dare, people too betrayed to believe, people too broken to dream, people who have dismissed your idea of hope as silly, fragile. I know there will be days when you will feel your heart shrink till it's heavy enough to sink under its own weight. I know there will be days when you will feel your stomach heat up, flames of hunger slowly surging, gulping you in while you rub your belly as if hunger was a pencil mark on a white paper, your palms, in an attempt to erase your palms, an eraser, your palms, an eraser you could have wiped out destiny with. You will break. I know you will wonder if your imperfections will ever leak out of the creaks of your soul to form a puddle enough to see your own reflections in. I know you will be made to feel that love and kindness are privileges. I know the roots of despise and reticence have grown deep, but nothing in the world cannot but be untangled. I know there is a grief you cannot explain, and I know things are bad. I don't say things will be good, but I can promise the bad is worthy enough to live for. And hence, when you will look down from the terrace, wonder if a jump would solve everything, remember, a solution and a dead end are two different things. So I write this to you, so I could tell you, so you could read your own self telling you to hold on just one more time, to believe just one more time, and not choose death, for death neither holds nor frees. Death is the name of a shape-shifting oblivion. Death is the name of a shape-shifting oblivion. So live. So live. For every day is an attempt at existence. So live. For apparitions do not write odes or eulogies. So live. So live.
That was indeed a really beautiful piece. Finally, I welcome our last performer, Vaidehi, whose poem is both heartwarming and tragic. It makes us ask ourselves, does love truly conquer all? Please welcome Vaidehi Gupta.
Dear Shlok, I see you. Yeah, I can. From this small glass window in front of me. I don't know when you'll be fine. Doctors say it may take days or even weeks. They say there is not much response. By the time you come out, I may not be here anymore. I didn't in the least want to leave you. At least not in this way, where I can be in your arms, where I can hold your hand, and where you can kiss my forehead for the one last time. This is why I'm writing this letter to you. We have always done this. Always wrote letters to each other. My parents wouldn't allow me to meet you. A tale from a normal Orthodox Muslim family. Nothing specific. But aren't our names meant to be together? Just like Shlok and Ayat? I'm writing this to thank you. To thank you for being you. I always had faith in you. Always trusted you. But let me confess this. I did feel you will back off a little because of my tumor. But you didn't. And I love you for that. These last days of mine, I am just living that scene again and again in my mind when you, Shlok, came to my bed with red and black roses in your hand, woke me up with a forehead kiss. When I opened my eyes to look at my dark world, I was shocked. I felt like this is some other dimension. You had lightened it up. all the ribbons hanging on the walls with photos of you and me. The whole room was sending rose fragrances to the world outside, just like God's little home. That portrait of ours you drew, me smiling while looking at you, looking deep in your eyes, which told me a story of our love, the passion, the emotions, the tears, the smiles. I was already in shock, and then you decided to put me in even more. You knelt and opened the small box with my favorite ring in it, the one just like Freddie gave to Mary. When you asked me if I would marry you, I swear I had shivers down my spine. My soul was overwhelmed and my body was unable to hold it in anymore. Thanks, Shlok, for giving me such love, such pure love. With every breath of mine, I remember you. I miss you. Such small words. Oh, how can they convey my emotion to you? I really want you to take care of yourself when I'm gone. Don't worry, I'll imagine you putting me to sleep while I look into your eyes, which will sing me a lullaby. I'll die in your arms, with all the love in the world, with all the words to express love, with all the emotions to convey love, and with all that unseen, unspoken, but deep, deep love. Yours, Ayut.
Thank you, Vedahi, for that truly beautiful piece. Now, just like all good things must come to an end, we have finally reached the conclusion of Farrago 2021. We would like to thank the technology students Gymkhana for making this event possible. We would like to thank all our participants and our absolutely wonderful audience. We hope you enjoyed the plethora of words, ideas, and emotions that the writers performed tonight. Poetry is to the soul what fuel is to fire. And as we walk this long journey of life, let us not forget to carry poetry in our hearts. This is Angana Mandal signing off. Yours truly, Technology Literary Society. Thanks a lot.